Once we grow up, the one thing nobody does is running really, really fast, doing really explosive stuff. Explosiveness is something that we don't use in our society. Indeed, when you're explosive, people look at you with a sense of terror. That's what usually happens. When you do anything explosive, people look at you with a sense of terror. But there's a very good upside of doing things fast and doing explosive things. That actually requires your brain to light on fire, and it keeps it youthful. So today, we're gonna get into sprinting a little tiny bit. I'm not gonna tell you that sprinting is something you can just get rolling with and right away do. But the idea, the motivation, the concept is important, I think, for all of us to think about. And maybe you can start to work on a small procedure that gets you ever closer to the capability again to sprint. Because when you were a kid, you were a sprinter. Every single kid at one point in their life, they love running around, chasing each other, playing tag, all kinds of stuff like that. But we got away from it. And I think it's time to get back to it. It's definitely a youthful type of movement that you can actually pick up again at any time in your life. I've seen 100-year-olds sprint. 100-year-old people can sprint if they gradually get back to it. My parents, who are in their mid-70s, they didn't run regularly they never ran regularly right up until about 15 years ago. Then they gradually started to pick it up, and nowadays they run long distance, they also do sprints. So it is possible, it is possible. And what it does for you, it actually works on your brain. It recharges your brain. It makes your brain come alive. As opposed to shriveling up with age, it grows your brain. So let's give it a try. Let's see what you can do and how does sprinting really looks when it's not at the Olympics and it's not on the TV, but right here, right now. When it comes to sprinting, most people think about a 100-meter dash. But I guarantee that to you that 95% of adults, if they would attempt to do a full-out 100-meter run, they would finish with a bunch of different injuries. Torn Achilles tendon, torn hamstring, injured quadriceps, hip flexors, lower back problems, all kinds of problems. So this is not what you should be thinking about. You should be thinking about a very short distance first. So I'm going to start to show you how it looks when you just run 5 meters as a sprinter. I'm going to use this volleyball. This is my starting out mark, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters. It's a good idea to always see exactly where your finish line is. Then you line yourself up, you get into position, and then you're gonna go, if this is your first time you're sprinting since childhood, you're gonna go about 50%. That's what I'm gonna show you. And this is it. This is it. That's it, nothing more. 5 meters, 50%. That is probably what your body's gonna be able to handle. Anything more than that, you're really endangering yourself and your body. So 5 meters. I would recommend to just play around with it. You go out to a park like this, you set up 5 meters, you do a 5-meter dash, and after that you relax. And you give yourself a good 2-3 minutes to relax. Like really, it's important that you take 2-3 minutes. Because you might think this is not a big effort for your body, but neurologically, this is incredibly damaging for your system. In a good way, of course, if you give it enough time. Your nervous system is the system that senses your fatigue. So when you fatigue the system that senses your fatigue, by definition, you're not going to be able to sense your fatigue. And that's a problem, because people have a tendency to do a short sprint like this and they're like, oh, you know, I feel good, so I'm going to do it again. But when your nervous system fatigues, you're not going to be able to stabilize your joints properly. When you fatigue your nervous system too much during the training session, that's when your chances of getting injured increases. Let's say you've been practicing for a while this 5-meter run, and you're gonna try something different. There are some bugs around here, by the way, so I'm not going nuts here, just the bugs. So I'm gonna make it 10 meters. Yeah, I would highly recommend to always check out where you sprint, because rocks, sticks, if you step on it, if you're in shoe, it can really throw you off. Also barefoot, it doesn't feel good if you jam your foot into a rock. A human being under natural circumstances would never actually give 100% unless the individual's life is threatened. That is the only reason why a human being would try to go full out. You don't need to become Usain Bolt in your mind, not at all. Don't give it 100%. Just give it much more than what you normally would do. That for most people is about 50-60% effort. It will make you move much faster than any time probably during your past few decades. So now this is 10 meters. It's more challenging. Let's say some time passed by. You already been working on this little sprinting 5 meters and now you extended it to 10 meters. You can also push the boundaries a little bit. And you can tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to give it more about 70% effort. And relative to yourself, you go. The 10 meters is an interesting one because in nature, if you would try to get away from something, generally talking, if you're good for 10 meters, get to a tree to climb up, then the fast pace is going to maybe save your life. Human beings are not going to sprint for 100 meters trying to run away from a predator because most predators would catch us in 100 meters. I tried before racing against dogs plenty of time when they take off. And it always surprised me that human beings actually very good at the takeoff. We are very explosive at the beginning. And I have this little theory that the reason we are good at taking off because that was the segment that was really important for us. And that's my little theory, whatever. 10 meters doesn't seem important, but for a human being, it is actually important. After sprinting, you gotta chill. You gotta take it easy. If you feel any kind of torques and problems around any of your joints, especially around your ankle, knee, hip, and your lower back, you gotta make sure you just stop right there. And next time, decrease the intensity a little bit because it's very easy to overdo this. The upsides of it are huge, but there's also a little potential, a little bit more potential to get some sort of injury. Explosive, fast movements are great, but you gotta use some precautions. So start rather gently, and then as you can start to sense how that is to move like a kid, then you can start to increase the intensity and the distance. Start with 5 meters, increase it to 10, and eventually to 15 or 20. So please like, subscribe, and put some in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Bye.